Welcome to the House of Fi. At the House of Fi, we inspire and encourage families of all shapes and demographics to achieve financial independence. Here, we teach you to become debt-free, build wealth, and increase your income. We also share inspiring stories of others on the road to Fi, others who have made it to Fi, as well as some of our own perspective about this journey. If you're a family on the road to financial independence, we want you to know that financial independence is for everyone. We're glad you're here. Hello, House of Fi family. Welcome back to the show. Before we dive in, I'd like to just remind you of a few things. Have you joined our private Facebook group yet? Well, if you haven't, you should. It is the place where you can connect with Curtis and I, where you can connect with the community. It's a place for asking questions, getting support, and just sharing ideas and information. I'd love it if you join us. Also, we would love it if you would leave us a written review on iTunes, Stitcher, or any of the other mediums that you have found us on. We are just trying to get the word out there about our show, and the more reviews we get, the more views we get, and the more that we can help people, which is our objective. Also, we have our 7-step Money Foundations course that is up and running. If you are new to financial independence, or you just need to really rework maybe your budget, your savings, get some renewed focus, this course is for you, and it's totally free. You can sign up for that over at the website under the 7-step Money Foundations course. And then finally, I am so excited about this one. I'm going to be launching a podcaster's course. It is called Podcasters U, and this is for anyone who has thought about starting a podcast but just has not been able to pull the trigger. I will tell you that 14 months ago, I was just a working mom and I had an idea, and I really wanted to fill a void in the financial independence community for families. You know, we're a large family and there's just special considerations. And so I thought that, why don't I start a podcast? And part of that was trying to see what information was out there to help me learn. So what I wanted to do was create a course, and I wanted this to be a college level quality course where you all would not regret that you had done the course. So often we invest in these courses out there and it sounds great, but it's just really not worth our time, effort, or money. And so I did not want that. So this will be the beta version of this course. So it's an opportunity for you to get in on the ground floor and help me just make this the best course it can be. I would love for you to join me. So if you're interested in joining me, simply email me at info@houseoffi.com, and in the subject line, put Podcasters U, or you can do that through the contact page on the website at houseoffi.com, or simply message me and send me your email address and I'll put you on the list. And then as soon as we get enough people signed up, but not too many, I don't want it to be too big of a class, we will set a start date and get started with the curriculum. I hope you all join me for that. Now, back to the show. Welcome back, House of Fi family. I am Wendy, your host, and right next to me, I have my better half, Curtis. Hey, babe, how are you holding up today?
A little crazy. The kids are driving me nuts, but I'm doing fine.
We are flying solo today. Our bigs are not here, so all 4 of the little ones are outside of this closed door, and so who knows what's happening. On today's bonus show, we're doing something that we haven't done yet, and we're really excited about this. We hope that this is an encouragement to you. We're bringing on a listener to share their progress on their FIRE journey so far. Maria has been with us since the beginning and is an active participant in our House of Fi private group. We know that so many of you are at various stages on your FIRE journey. We also know from our own experience that this journey is a marathon, not a sprint. And it's good to know that there are others sharing the same struggles, successes, and goals as you, because the reality is that our friends and family have no idea what we're doing. And it's just really good to have a tribe to share with. So with that, we hope you enjoy Maria's journey and it resonates and encourages you. Maria, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you, Wendy and Curtis.
You're so welcome. Well, I was so encouraged when you messaged me and you had let me know some of the steps you had taken in your progress so far. And we're going to get into that. But before we do, can you just tell us a little bit about who you are and how you came to know about the FIRE movement?
Well, I am a married woman of 2 children. I'm a professional. I'm a librarian by profession, but I'm in management. And I became aware of the FIRE movement by pure sort of happenstance. My sister happened to send my cousin and I an article about Jamila Souffrant, and you know her from Journey to Launch, and how she saved, all this money in a year or a couple of years. And I just went down a rabbit hole. And I started to binge listen, to her podcast. And then I stumbled upon House of Fi and binge listened to that, and just consuming all different podcast blogs and following what I call my new friends on social media as well. So that was kind of the start, kind of the awareness of the FIRE movement.
Mm-hmm. I think we all kind of have that moment. I know that I had it, and I've shared it before on the show, where I was just in such a desperate feeling of, we were always going to have the debt. We were always going to be having to struggle and paycheck to paycheck, and we weren't making any traction. And I found the Mad Scientist, and it was the same thing. I just began consuming everything, and it's just mind-blowing, I think. But then once you actually, get in, it's really not crazy. It's all about the numbers. Yeah. It's math is math, right?
Right. Yeah, I find that it's about the numbers and attitudes, our attitude towards spending. Yes, for sure.
And it's also the mindset. It took me a little bit longer because I just brought home the paychecks, and I did everything I needed just to make sure the bills were paid. Wendy took care of all the finances, and she introduced it to me, and I was a little bit of naysayer for a little bit, but then once I knew the direction that we were going in and the goal that we needed to achieve, it all clicked. It started to click.
So when you went down that rabbit hole, can you just share a little bit about where you were financially? What was kind of the circumstances?
Well, I think that, for years, I feel like there's a rapper that says, I think it was Biggie, that says, I'm not sure who it is exactly, so don't quote me, but more money, more problems. And so I think that as our incomes increased, we began to take on more debt and spend more. So I was always aware that we had a lot of debt, and we have made probably every financial mistake in the book. And we've come out of some really huge financial issues, but we still felt like maybe we hadn't totally learned our lesson. And so I was just aware that we had all of this consumer debt and education debt, and that we needed to find a way to get out of it. But in a way that I think would make us feel proud of all the effort we put in to get out of it. No shortcuts, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yes. No, absolutely. Totally makes sense. So what were some of your major obstacles? Was it the amount of the debt? Was it budgeting? I mean, what do you think were the few things that were making it difficult for you to make progress at that point?
Well, I think we both, my husband and I, needed to be on the same page. I kind of like what Curtis is saying, that he kind of put you in charge of getting all the bills paid and getting everything done and doling everything out. And so that's kind of our setup as well. Although my husband does help with, our famous little spreadsheet this really primitive thing that I made up years ago, and he's helped me kind of fine tune it. And so, but still, we would still let's go out to dinner, maybe we should replace this washer machine, even though it came with the house. So, but so it's we everything was a need and not just a want. So that was a big issue. And then also getting my husband on board with the journey. Like once I started to just consume all of this information, he kind of like roll his eyes like, oh no, not another idea, but we just, he finally just really just started to get on board, and I started to dig my heels in like, well, no, I don't think we need to go do that. Or I don't think we need to buy that right now. Maybe we need to wait. But I mean, I was guilty of spending as much as he was. I mean, we just both did that.
Right. Well, so what were some of then the key changes that you have implemented now that you both are on board?
Well, what we did, or like some of the early steps we implemented were to cut out a lot of the extras that, even though they made our life at home easier, they definitely were, a drain on our budget. So like early last year in 2018, we decided to cut out the weekly house cleaning. which was hard.
It was so hard. We did that too. It was so hard. And
oh my goodness.
It's a big expense.
It is. And, and I also felt badly for the people because I know that then they depend on what I'm paying. But I mean, we just kept remembering that we did this for years on our own, like every Friday we'd get a pizza and clean the house, play some music and clean the house when the guys were young. Mm-hmm. And so we could do that again. And that's what we've been doing. And then we also like cut out like the weekly pool service and like the full cable package and some other items. But still, it still took some time to like wake up, stop whipping out the plastic, let's build this small emergency fund. Let's look at these numbers. But those are some of the major changes.
Did you work with anybody to help you with that?
Well, at first we tried to do this ourselves. We really did. And we did like Band-Aid things that we probably should not have done, like some debt consolidation or debt consolidation, like Dave Ramsey said.
Right.
So we did some of those things, but still our mindset didn't change. And then sometime late in the fall, I actually reached out to you, Wendy, and asked you if you knew of a good like financial coach or debt counselor or money coach that could help us. And you gave me Ericka Young's name. She's of Tailor Made Budgets.
Right.
And I remember listening to her on your show probably a few months before that. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember listening to her. Her story resonated with ours. And so my husband reluctantly agreed to let me find help. And we began working with Ericka in November of 2018.
Oh, that's so awesome to hear. We, as you said, we had used her as well early on. And, sometimes you do need that outside help.
Yes, you do. And I heard you say reluctant. Just to go back with your husband, what was his aha moment that you think got him fully? I mean, he's 100% on board, correct?
Yes, he is now. He actually called Ericka a miracle worker the other day.
That's so great.
During one of our sessions. We're just looking at something and she just strategically moved something. And he's like, oh my, because it had been confounding him, So once he said that, even though he's always been, great with her and obviously has come to every appointment, that was like, okay, he's totally on board now.
That's so awesome.
Yes,
I love hearing that. And we'll link that episode in the show notes so people can go back to it if they haven't heard it. It's episode 11.
Yeah, that was an excellent episode.
Thank you. I just love her to death. She's amazing. And I know she's helped just so many people.
Now, has there been any other, besides your regular job, have you been doing anything just to make extra income, or just because of the family, you're just relying on your regular income right now?
Yeah, I mean, I will say that, we do have really good jobs and I think we do pretty well, but in order to find more sources of income, one thing, and this kind of just happened, my husband he has consulted a little bit on the side in his profession. And then we know someone who opened their own business in the field that where his expertise lies. And he just was helping this person. And then she finally said, maybe you could, help me like longer term. And then, so he put something together and he's now consulting with her and working with this person. And that has added some very much, needed and welcome extra dollars that helps us push the snowball. And
that is so great.
Yeah, it was so exciting when that happened. Yeah.
Well, and I think that, sometimes we just don't think of those things. We don't think kind of outside the box, and then here this opportunity presented itself, and who knows what that could turn into. It's a great thing. And I'm so glad that you're able to infuse this extra money into your budget. And I know that it's going to help you with your debt snowball.
Yeah, exactly. And then, while I've done, I put myself out there on Upwork and other kind of freelancing websites, nothing's materialized yet, but I think I need to be more dogged in my efforts to find some extra assignments there. And then like I tell my husband, I practice home economy, quote unquote, just finding the best deals, shopping, with coupons, not crazy couponing, but, just doing the best we can to make the dollars stretch. That's one thing we've been doing, and we're seeing the result of that as well.
That's the one thing I did before even we were doing the Dave Ramsey, and in Arizona, you were able to do the couponing. I had a little website or a little thing that I was called the King of Coupons, and I would get a lot of free stuff. And, I want to get back into it. I kind of miss it.
That was back when some of the grocery stores would allow you to do the double and triple coupons.
Yes.
They don't do those anymore. Most of them don't, because people had taken advantage of it. But he got really, really good at it. And we had an extra pantry where we did a stockpile. So we had barbecue sauce for days. We had dressing for days.
Yeah. One thing that I learned was I saw on your blog how you did the ALDI challenge.
Yeah.
And they opened one near my house, and I thought maybe I should go. And I've been several times, and it's just amazing to me. And then my husband came with me one time, and he's like, I can't believe this, just how inexpensive the produce is. And then I'll order on Walmart.com, I'll order the groceries, and either I'll pick them up, but if it's really crazy, I'll just pony up the $8 and they deliver the stuff to the house. I find that not going into that store or some of the other stores helps, because I'm just getting what I need and not just going up and down the aisles.
I'm wanting to do a blog post about either online grocery ordering and grocery delivering, because finally getting on board with ordering the groceries online from Walmart and going and picking them up, it was just life-changing. I don't know why I resisted it for so long. It helped me save money. It helped me save time. And I just put it on as part of my daily errands that I would run. So it just became another quick 5-minute stop and, another 10 minutes when you're doing the ordering. It was such a great resource to use. And so
it really is. It saves all your favorites, all the things that you can just favorite everything and then just go back and just order, just go right from there. So I feel if time is money, then I'm definitely saving. Even when I have it delivered, I'm still saving.
Well, and you don't have the impulse buys either.
Exactly. And I don't go shopping hungry either. Yeah.
Right.
Just to piggyback off that, you mentioned about looking at items as a want or a need. I know early on, that was one of the things when you're out shopping or going anywhere. Is this a want, or do we actually need it? Does that still hold true with your husband now and you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're it's funny because we went on vacation of a week or so ago, and I did buy several things that I ended up not using or needing. And so we went to a really nice store that I love, and we went just on Sunday to return those things, and we just walked right out. Another thing we learned was sinking funds. Some things that I haven't been able to cut out, and it's so funny because Ericka was like, "Oh, let's look at my personal grooming budget." And so, but I found that saving every week or every 2 weeks for my hair color, it's there. The money's there, including the tip. And it's why didn't I do this before?
Right. Yeah.
So
just small intentional changes. They all add up into big results. I want to know, do you guys have a plan for what happens after you reach financial independence? Is there some goal?
Well, I think that we do talk a lot about some goals. Once we erase the consumer debt and really tackle the education debt, what I would like, and my husband agrees, we both want this, is maybe to generate some passive income through real estate. This area Florida was hit really hard by the recession,
right.
But it's coming back. And I don't think it's as crazy as it was before. And I think there's a lot of opportunity to get something that we could, make some money from, and then maybe pass it on to our children. So that is the ultimate goal. We don't have a fine number. Yeah. But once we get this debt out of the way, I think that we'll just be able to breathe. And I think we'll have lots more opportunities.
Well, you guys are doing all the right things. So I know that sometimes it seems like it's so far away, but like you're getting there and you're making really great progress. And I just appreciate you coming on the show to share your story and where you are. I think it will be very helpful to others. One thing about the investment properties and creating passive income, that is something that Curtis and I are looking into this year as well. And as we get knowledge about it, we will share that knowledge. The other thing is we have David Green coming on from Bigger Pockets in a few months. He has written a book that's due to come out in the summer. It hasn't released yet, but it's on that. It's on the buy, rehab, refurbish. I don't know all the R's. There's
technique.
Burr technique. But I think it's going to be a really great show and you'll get a lot out of it. Bigger Pockets is a really good course.
I like them. I can't wait. I go on their blog and I listen to some of the different personalities that do have podcasts on there. And the different people like Coach Carson. I mean, just, Mr. and Mrs. Rich and Regular, they're investing too. So all of that keeps me motivated to just continue with this journey. I mean, I know we can do it. We can. We have the resources. We just have to use them a little more wisely.
And we're seeing a big theme that's usually it takes I'm not always saying the spouse, but somebody has to. The reluctant spouse, the husband usually has to get, because I'm more of a concrete thinker when it comes down to things. Bill's got to give me food on the table.
And it was just kind of, I think part of it was his, he just didn't want to face it. Like, I know that you guys have said on your show that you were in bankruptcy, and we did that in, I want to say 2009. And I'm like, we survived that. We paid every single thing back. And how do we do this again? And it's just this, we just weren't talking to each other about it. Just like, okay. And here we are. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not doing that again. Yeah. So.
And again, it's going back to the mindset, because you always want to, the thing is trying to be just like the Johnsons or the Jones, having everything. But once you get in this direction, you'll see that you're not just doing it for your retirement. And just like you said, you're doing it for long term.
Yeah. Legacy.
You want to make, your legacy.
Legacy. That's what we want. Like I keep like when, like, I guess like the epiphany for me was like when I realized that if we implemented these changes, if we really were on fire about fire, we could change our family tree. And something that more people in your realm right now are talking about is, and you being a couple, where your children are of color and you're that we're in the same boat, and like, what do we do? What do people like us do? Because our attitudes toward money are just like a mess.
It's different. It's, it
is.
You don't grow up with some of the privileges, and my experience is obviously different than Curtis's experience.
Right.
And so it's important. It's important that we reach all communities.
For sure.
Because that's the only way that things are going to change, is through education and sharing the information with everyone.
Yeah.
Some of the problems that we're seeing in Black and brown families are just completely different from other people. Like, like my mom will pass away and there'll be nothing for us, so so we just have to take the reins. We just have to do something else. So
Also, if you do get in that struggle, make sure you reach out to the community, because that is your backbone. Because I know that anytime we're feeling discouraged, I do a little research, she does research, and we come up or we implement a plan that we just really haven't thought about. So
thanks for that advice.
Maria, thank you so much for coming on and listening. And we just want to check in with us every now and then and let us know how you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you. And congratulations to you on your show and your beautiful family. I love hearing all your stories.
Thank you.
Well, House of Five family, that brings this episode to a close. If you've liked what you've heard, please subscribe in iTunes, as well as any of the other platforms you've found us on. We're on just about all of them. Also, please leave us a written review. They help us to know what you're liking about the show, what we can do better. And for every 5 reviews we receive, that's written reviews, we will give away one of our favorite reads, and that is currently Kids' Money Habits by Amy Coit. It's a great book full of great information, both for parents and kids. Don't forget to check out our show notes on the webpage. There is always bonus information there that didn't make it to the show, and we strive to create good content on there. So please head on over to the website and check that out. Finally, you can find us on Facebook. You can either like our page or you can become part of our Facebook group. It's a private group, and in there we have ongoing discussions about each episode as well as other topics within the FI community or questions that you have that we can address with upcoming guests. Again, thank you for listening. Come back next week. We're glad you're here.